I wouldn't care, and this goes for Bobby Roode too. I wouldn't care if he's an NXT lifer. Would that damage the legacy of his career? No. Look at Asuka. She just broke the record. Excuse me. She just broke Goldberg's record for the longest undefeated streak in wrestling. And being the longest current reigning and defending champion on either roster, meaning Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. Like, she's doing big things. Okay, after she does all this, where's she going to go from there? Obviously the main roster, but what are they going to do with her? Are they going to have her go to Raw and take over the reigns as Raw Women's Champion from Alexa Bliss? And, you know, and people are going to think anything less of 180-0, whatever it is, anything short of that is going to be considered a failure on the main roster, which sucks for Asuka, which sucks for the team in NXT that's trying to, put her over, and she's so over. It's ridiculous. So, I don't know what you do. And I don't know what kind of mileage Asuka has from wrestling in Japan and touring around, and you know what I mean? And I don't know what kind of mileage she's putting on herself in NXT these days. But she's like the crown jewel of women's wrestling. No disrespect to any other women on either roster, on any of the three rosters. But she's the crown jewel of women's wrestling right now. Like, she's the best. She is the best. And she's proven it time and time again. Where do you go from here? So, it's a lot to process, I know. But truthfully, it's a lot to digest. And until Triple H takes the reins over from Vince, who probably will never retire, I don't foresee any changes in the main product of the WWE. NXT will keep having better shows and having the better rosters no matter who comes and goes. And WWE is just going to stick to having Raw at its all-time lowest ratings and SmackDown right behind them in ratings, which still isn't really all that good. So, I like what SmackDown's doing. I'm okay with what Raw is doing, I guess, for most of it. But something needs to change. And if you could book a show like WrestleMania 31, which I'm still convinced to this day was a Triple H booked show, that was one of the best WrestleManias in a long time. The last two have sucked. Okay, maybe the last one wasn't that awful. It was pretty good. Well, I'm sorry, it was good, but nothing to the caliber of WrestleMania 31. What that was, and the surprises and this, that. 32 was awful. 32 was awful. Until the day comes that Vince McMahon retires and Triple H takes over, just keep expecting the same mediocrity on the main program. You're still going to watch it, so don't threaten, I'm going to cancel the network, I'll show them. Okay, that's $10 out of millions of dollars that you're making from the network, whether it be through subscribers or sponsors. So, keep thinking you're going to make a difference, like, as one person. Okay, you're one fucking person. It's not going to make a difference of a whole entire company's bottom line. Significant change needs to happen. And until he leaves and Triple H takes over, I don't see it happening. You're going to keep seeing the same shit, and you're going to keep seeing the great product that you would on NXT, and then you're going to be like, oh, well, I'm glad that they're being called up, but then you're going to be like, wait, why did they get called up? Because they're not doing anything with them right now. So, like, it's a vicious cycle, and it needs to stop, and something needs to change. Something really needs to change. But on that note, I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you all for joining me for Open Mic Wrestling Night. Remember, Blake and Sal's show tomorrow at 10 a.m. The episode becomes available. Nerd Herders goes live, and I'll keep plugging it. It's my favorite episode of any podcast at all year. The E3 coverage. It's a lot to digest, and they definitely have it covered for you, and they always do every year. So be sure to tune into that live at 9 Eastern here on Fill in the Void Podcast Network on Spreaker. Until next week, thank you all for tuning in. Go out, support your local independent wrestling. It's very important to do. And if you missed me at the top of the show, I will start hosting Indie Power Rankings Top 10 Reveal as of Tuesday the 27th. There will be Tuesdays at 7 p.m. I'll start with the mid-year reveal, which will be then. And Travis of Travis and Vic takes over Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern. So a lot of stuff to digest, a lot of stuff to kind of really get into. So go ahead, listen to all of our network shows on Fill in the Void Podcast Network, whatever it takes. The Degrassi Podcast, Hit Points Gaming, and Full Circle Podcast, our 2 new shows. We have Here's the Problem with Clint Davis, Messy Magical Motherhood, the Blogcast, Blake and Sal's Show, Boy Meets Retrocast, Nerd Herders, Travis and Vic's Drunken Horror Adventures. I mean, we have a loaded lineup here. We have a very loaded lineup here. A lot of you, and if maybe something you don't like in particular, go spread the word, and somebody else might like it. You'll make their day, and you'll make my day, ultimately. So, again, thank you for listening. Go out, support your local independent wrestling is very important to do. See you all next week, and have yourselves a good night.